You are all about city mobility. You're all about the pricing being right for everyone in modern transit. How does Waymo change the game for Chandler?
Thanks for having me back. The idea is to use the most advanced technology, this is part of our mission, and bring it to local governments and make their systems, especially transit systems, more efficient. In this case, we can leverage the autonomous vehicles that Waymo already has to support service during peak hours, where we may have more demand than we're able to serve with our existing vans, and we can refer some of that demand to the autonomous vehicles.
What does Waymo get out of it? Because in many ways, they're having to stomach a much lower price point.
I think for Waymo, it's an opportunity to expand their reach, to serve some of those riders who have real needs. Who are the riders that use the Chandler Flex service, the service that we operate? Low-income folks, seniors, students, sometimes people with disabilities. So this is a great opportunity, I think, to expand autonomous vehicles and provide some of this advanced technology to folks who typically may not have access to it.
Let's talk about that expansion, because Arizona has been leading from the front in terms of adoption of robotaxis. Where do you see this going in terms of the other areas that you serve with mobility?
I think there's enormous opportunity to use autonomous vehicles as one of these advanced technologies to reduce the cost of public transportation, make it more efficient, make it available to more people. And I think this reinforces the role that VIA has to play, this key role that we play in bringing all these technologies together and making them available to these local governments and municipalities.
Yeah, let's remind ourselves. I mean, investors just got a good reminder because you went public just last week. But the underlying technology you provide, because originally I could get into a VIA car, but now that went, and really you're about servicing cities, about states in mobility.
That's right. We're about partnering with cities, with states, with transit agencies, these government organizations, typically very local, and giving them access to the most advanced algorithms, to AI, to autonomous vehicles, things that typically they may be way behind in adopting, and we're really trying to make it possible for them to adopt them very quickly, and in return, get much better service out to their residents, to folks who otherwise are dependent on very antiquated services that they may wait for an hour. We're trying to change that in a really meaningful way.
Change it when states and cities are cash-strapped. So how are you trying to serve them on the idea that this saves them money as well as helps their residents?
That's a really good point, Caroline, because I think they're pressured for budget. We haven't seen these budgets necessarily drop, but there is a feeling that there may be budget pressure, and the ability to use software to run their services more efficiently. Even if the budgets come down, they're able to provide equivalent service, maybe even greater service than they were before at these lower budgets. So I think it's just getting more and more important for our governments to get more efficient.
What's interesting is yesterday it was unveiled that Lyft is partnering with Waymo. These relationships keep on building, frenemies keep on making themselves more clear as Waymo aligns with Uber as well. Your shares haven't popped in the way that, say, Lyft's did on the day of the announcement. What do you think you need to convince investors then that robotaxis, AVs, is an area that VIA should be pushing towards?
I think this is part of our story. It's really about driving durable growth here, building out, partnering with more and more cities over time, and giving them access to autonomous vehicles is one way in which we can help them expand the service. And I think this will grow over time. I expect that this may be partnerships we can have in hundreds of cities around the world, together with Waymo and other autonomous providers.
This is about education of consumers as well, though, because we can all see first adopters rushing out to want to get in a Waymo. But if you're from an underserved community that perhaps hasn't had the money to be able to order an Uber and a Lyft whenever you want, certainly in a robotaxi version, how are you thinking about marketing it to that new consumer?
I think that would be really interesting to see how that evolves, because we have riders who are students who are probably going to be jumping all over this.
Yeah.
And then we have riders who are seniors who may feel, I don't know, maybe that's something quite new. So it'll be interesting to see how we can communicate these innovations to them, make them feel comfortable about adopting them, and hopefully if these systems are, as reported, safer than other systems, that can just help drive safety in public transportation, also very important. So,
your conversations with Tesla, anyone else?
We're in several conversations. I'll probably keep it there.